Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Duel Decks Anthology unboxing. So we're going to look at the first of our pairs of deck now. So we have here Elves versus Goblins. And I'm going to go through these in the order in which they were originally released. So let's have a look inside of these. As I showed in the very first video, these boxes are just basically very thin card, so they're not going to last up in in a rucksack or anything like that, but I suppose if they're kept in their boxes, then they should be fine. Okay, so you can see here we've got a spacer, because in fact what happens is, and there's our spacer, once these are sleeved, they will still fit in these boxes. Okay. Focusing a bit more on that. And also the lead cards in here are foil. So, seeing as it's Elves versus Goblins, let's open the Elves deck first of all. I believe there's also tokens included within these, so we'll see what we get. There we go. Because these are going to be printed in the new style as well, with the hologram on the rares, which wouldn't have been a feature in the original decks. Okay, let's have a bit more room. Make sure that's nice and clear so everybody can see this. Okay, so first up we've got this foil of Ambush Commander. It's 3 and 2 green for a 2/2 creature elf. On its ability, we've got forests you control are 1/1 green elf creatures that are still lands, and for 1 and a green we can sacrifice an elf. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Allosaurus Rider is in this deck, 5 and 2 green creature elf warrior. We've got something strange going on here with the power and toughness, where it's 1+ star for the power and 1+ star for the toughness. So it says you may exile 2 green cards from your hand rather than pay Allosaurus Rider's mana cost. Allosaurus Rider's power and toughness are equal to 1 plus the number of lands you control. Voice of the Woods, 3 and 2 green for a 2/2 creature elf. Tap 5 untapped elves you control, put a 7/7 green elemental creature token with trample onto the battlefield. So one of our token generation cards. Slate of Ancestry, also a rare. 4 colourless artifact. It's got 4 colourless tap, discard your hand, draw a card for each creature you control. And then we've got some tokens here. We've got elemental token. These are the single-sided tokens. We've seen some double-sided ones in other product recently, but these are the regular single-sided. We've got some elf warrior tokens, a whole load of those. Some goblin tokens, obviously for our goblin deck. And then moving back to our creatures. Elvis Eulogist, 1 green for 1/1. Sacrifice Elvis Eulogist, you gain 1 life for each elf card in your graveyard. And there are 2 of those. There's an Elvish Harbinger in the deck, 2 and a green, 1/2 creature elf druid. When Elvish Harbinger enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an elf card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. Tap, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Elvish Warrior, so this is a 2 green for just a 2/3 vanilla creature elf warrior. And there are 3 of those. Gem Palm Strider, 1 and a green for 2/2 with cycling for 2 and 2 green. When you cycle Gem Palm Strider, elf creatures get +2/+2 until end of turn. And there are 2 of those. Heedless One, 3 and a green for Star creature elf avatar. It's got trample. Heedless One's power and toughness are equal to the number of elves on the battlefield. Imperious Perfect, 2 and a green for 2/2 creature elf warrior. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. Green and tap, put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token onto the battlefield. And there's 2 of those. Not surprisingly, we've got Lanor War Elves in the deck. So that's single green for 1/1, and it taps to add green to your mana pool. And there are 3 of those. Lys Alana Huntmaster, 2 and 2 green for 3/3. With the ability, whenever you cast an elf spell, you may put a 1/1 green elf creature token onto the battlefield. And there are 2 of those. There's also Stonewood Invoker in the deck, 1 and a green for 2/2. Its ability, 7 and a green, Stonewood Invoker gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Sylvan Messenger, 3 and a green for 2/2. Its ability, Trample. When Sylvan Messenger enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all elf creatures revealed this way. Put all elf cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Timberwatch Elf, 2 and a green for 1/2 creature elf. Tap, target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves on the battlefield. So we've got lots of 1/ofs in here. Well-Wisher, 1 and a green for a 1/1. With the ability tap, you gain 1 life for each elf on the battlefield. And there's a couple of those actually. Wildwood Herald, 1 and a green for 1/1 creature elf. When Wildwood Herald dies, you may search your library for an elf card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. There's a Weirwood Symbiote. Green for 1 green for 1/1. With the ability, return an elf you control to its owner's hand, untap target creature, activate this ability only once each turn. Wood Elves is in the deck, 2 and a green for 1/1. Creature Elf Scout, when Wood Elves enters the battlefield, search your library for a forest card and put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. 2 of those. Wren's Run Vanquisher, 1 and a green for 3/3 creature elf warrior. As an additional cost to cast Wren's Run Vanquisher, reveal an elf card from your hand or pay 3 colourless. It also has Death Touch on it. Elvish Promenade's in the deck, 3 and a green tribal sorcery elf. So I think this was around the time of Lorwyn block, which had these sort of tribal sorceries. So this comes, I think, from one of those in those sort of 2. Just trying to think of the 2 little mini blocks. There was Lorwyn, I think, the Lorwyn block and the Eventide block. Put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token onto the battlefield for each elf you control. Giant Growth. So we're now moving on to our non-creature spells. So that's an instance. 1 green, target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. 2 of those in the deck. Harmonize, 2 and 2 green, get to draw 3 cards. Wild Size, 2 and a green instant, target creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn, draw a card. Got some artifacts here. We've got Moon Glove Extract, 3 colourless artifacts. Sacrifice Moon Glove Extract. Moon Glove Extract deals 2 damage to target creature or player. And there are 2 of those, no, 3 of those actually. And now we're moving on to our land. We've got Tranquil Thicket in the deck. So this is a land that enters the battlefield taps. It taps for green mana, but also it cycles for green. And there are 2 of those. Wirewood Lodge. So this is land that taps for colourless, but also for a green you can untap a target elf. And now we just have our actual basic land base here, so I'm just going to quickly flick through these so you can see the sort of artwork. Not too sure off the top of my head which particular set this artwork comes from. Some of it looks very much from core sets, but I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember again what the Lorwyn block and Shadow Maw block looked like. I just can't remember. Okay, so now we'll move on to our Goblin deck. We've already seen the tokens for this. So in this deck, our lead card, our foil, is Siege Gang Commander. So it's 3 and 2 red for a 2/2. It's a creature goblin. When Siege Gang Commander enters the battlefield, put 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. So that's where our goblin tokens come from. 1 and a red, sacrifice a goblin. Siege Gang Commander deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Click Slither. 1 colourless, 3 red, 3/3 creature insect. We've got an insect in this deck. Has haste on it. Sacrifice a goblin. Click Slither, gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Ib Halfheart Goblin Tactician. So there's a legendary creature here. It's 3 and a red for a 3/2. It's a goblin advisor. Whenever another goblin you control becomes blocked, sacrifice it. If you do, it deals 4 damage to each creature blocking it. Sacrifice 2 mountains, put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. Skirk Fire Marshal, 3 and 2 red, 2/2 goblin. Protection from red, tap 5 untapped goblins you control. Skirk Fire Marshal deals 10 damage to each creature and each player. Aki Coalflinger, 1 colourless, 2 red for a 2/2. It's got first strike, and for red, tap it. Attacking creatures gain first strike until end of turn. Emberwild Augur, 1 and a red, 2/1. Sacrifice Emberwild Augur. Emberwild Augur deals 3 damage to target player. Activate this ability only during your upkeep. That's a Goblin Shaman, and there are 3 of those in the deck. So the maximum we seem to be seeing in terms of cards, I think, is 3 Elves. Flame Wave Invoker, 2 and a red, 2/2 for 7 and a red, so pretty high ability cost here. So for 7 and a red, Flame Wave Invoker deals 5 damage to target player. That's a Goblin Mutant. Gem Palm Incinerator, 2 and a red, 2/1. It's got cycling for 1 and a red, so with cycling, whatever the cost is, you then get to discard the card and draw a card, so it's a replacement effect. When you cycle Gem Palm Incinerator, you may have it deal X damage to target creature, where X is the number of goblins on the battlefield. Goblin Cohort, 1 red, 2/2. Goblin Cohort can't attack unless you've cast a creature spell this turn. And there are 3 of those in the deck. Goblin Matron, 2 and a red, 1/1. When Goblin Matron enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a goblin card, reveal that card, and put it in your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. I think if you've been playing Vintage Masters recently online, you'll probably be familiar with some of these goblins in here. Goblin Ringleader, 3 and a red, 2/2. Haste. When Goblin Ringleader enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all goblin cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Goblin Sledder, 1 red for 1/1. Sacrifice a goblin. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Goblin War Chief, 1 and 2 red for 2/2. Goblin spells you cast cost 1 colourless less to cast. Goblin creatures you control have haste. That's a Goblin Warrior. Mog Fanatic is in here. 1 red for 1/1. Sacrifice Mog Fanatic. Mog Fanatic deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Got some Mog War Marshals. 1 and a red for a 1/1 with Echo on it. So for 1 and a red at the beginning of your upkeep, if this came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you play its Echo cost. When Mog War Marshal enters the battlefield or dies, put a 1/1 red goblin creature token onto the battlefield. And there are 2 of those. Mud Button Torch Runner, 1 and a red for a 1/1 Goblin Warrior. When Mud Button Torch Runner dies, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. And there are 2 of those. We have Raging Goblin, which is a 1/1 for 1 red with haste on it. And there's a couple of those. Reckless one, 3 and a red for a star goblin avatar. Has haste. Reckless one's power and toughness are each equal to the number of goblins on the battlefield. Skirk Drill Sergeant. Creature goblins 2/1 for 1 and a red. Whenever Skirk Drill Sergeant or another goblin dies, you may pay 2 colourless red. If you do, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a goblin permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, otherwise put it into your graveyard. Skirk Drill Sergeant, there's another one. And Skirk Prospector, 1 red for 1/1, sacrifice a goblin, add red to your mana pool. Skirk Shaman, 1 and 2 red for 2/2 Goblin Shaman. Skirk Shaman can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or red creatures. Tar Pitcher, 3 and a red for a 2/2. Tap, sacrifice a goblin. Tar Pitcher deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Boggart Shenanigans. So this is another one of these tribal themed cards. So this is a tribal enchantment. And the tribe is, not surprisingly, Goblin. 2 and a red, whenever another goblin you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may have Boggart Shenanigans deal 1 damage to target player. And there's a couple of those. Spitting Earth, so we're now moving on to our non-creature spells. Spitting Earth is 1 and a red sorcery. Spitting Earth deals damage to target creature equal to the number of mountains you control. Tarfire, another tribal, this is a tribal instant, 1 red. Tarfire deals 2 damage to target creature or player. And there's a couple of, let's see, 3 of those. And now we're moving on to our non-basic lands. We have Forgotten Cave, which is another cycling land. So enters the battlefield tapped, and we can tap it for red, or you can cycle it for red. Goblin Burrows. Tap, add colourless to your mana pool, or for 1 and a red, tap, target goblin creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then we move onto our regular basic land mana base here. And of course it's all mountains. So again, just going to quickly flick through the artwork here. Looks like there's 4 types. Okay, so there we have our first of the dual decks we're going to take a look at in this Anthologies series from Wizards of the Coast on there. And that was put the lead card at the top here, that was the Elves with Ambush Commander as our lead card and foil, and the other commander was the Goblin one, which was Siege Gang Commander. Thanks for watching, bye for now.